Hello, welcome to Learn English with Technology podcast series, episode 19. Today we're diving deep into 9 game-changing strategies for learning English with podcasts in 2025.
It's an exciting time to be learning English with podcasts.
So much has changed, even in the last few years. And we're going to unlock a treasure chest of techniques and tools that can take your skills to the next level. Ready?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with content selection, it's not just about hitting play on any random podcast.
Right. You need to pick podcasts that match your English level.
So beginners should start with podcasts that speak slower and use simpler vocabulary.
Yes. Podcasts like Simple English News Daily or Slow English for Beginners are great. Everyday language at a manageable pace.
Makes sense. Then as you gain confidence, you can move on to intermediate podcasts.
Absolutely. Podcasts like TED Radio Hour or Science Friday are fantastic for intermediate learners.
I listen to Science Friday all the time. It's awesome.
Right. So many great topics, exposing you to a wider range of vocabulary and complex sentence structures.
I can see how that would be a natural progression. But what about the advanced learners? What should they be listening to?
For advanced learners, I recommend podcasts with dynamic conversations, debates, and multiple speakers.
Okay.
Podcasts like Intelligence Squared Debates or The Economist Radio are great examples.
Interesting.
They'll challenge you with complex arguments, diverse accents, and a faster pace.
Wow, it sounds intense, but I can see how it would push advanced learners to refine their skills even further. But even with the perfect podcast, just passively listening isn't enough.
No, you're absolutely right. That's where active listening techniques come in. We need to turn those ears into active learning machines.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive into those active listening techniques.
All right. First up, note-taking.
Ah, yes. But not the old school pen and paper kind, I bet.
You got it. In 2025, we're using mind mapping apps that sync with podcast timestamps so you can create visual notes as you listen.
Oh, wow. So as I'm listening, I can create a visual representation of the information, and it all stays connected to the specific moments in the podcast.
Exactly. It helps link ideas and keep everything organized.
That's amazing. I can already see how helpful that would be.
It's really a game changer.
Okay, so what other techniques can I use to become an active listener?
Try shadow listening, repeating words and phrases to improve pronunciation.
It's interesting. It's like you're becoming a vocal chameleon, blending in with the podcast's rhythm.
Exactly. And another technique. Pause the podcast and try to predict what the speaker will say next.
Oh, I like that.
This forces you to actively engage with the content and anticipate what's coming.
It's like turning podcast listening into a game.
Yeah. And here's one that's great for intensive listening. Choose a 30-second clip and listen to it multiple times. Each time focus on a different element.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like the main idea, specific details, pronunciation, connected speech, or even cultural references.
Wow, it's like putting language under a microscope.
Right. You'll uncover layers of meaning you might have missed on the first listen.
Are there any other ways I can maximize my active listening?
Absolutely. Don't forget to ask yourself questions as you listen.
Like what?
Why did they choose those specific words? What emotions were they conveying? How would this be different in your native language?
Oh, yeah. Asking those questions helps you think critically and analyze the language on a deeper level.
You got it.
It sounds like active listening is all about being fully present and engaged with the podcast, not just letting the words wash over you.
Precisely. Now let's move on to study methods that help solidify what you've learned.
Okay, let's unlock the secrets of making those new words and phrases a permanent part of my English repertoire.
All right, before you even hit play, take a few minutes to prepare your brain. Create a vocabulary prediction map.
A vocabulary prediction map. Sounds intriguing.
It is. Based on the podcast topic, jot down 10 words you think you might hear.
Okay.
It primes your brain to look for these words and reinforces your vocabulary.
It's like a treasure hunt. I like it.
It is, sort of. And set micro goals for each session. Focus on one specific aspect, like verb tenses or idioms.
So it's like choosing a specific area of my English to work on each day.
Exactly.
Okay, what other tips do you have for studying with podcasts?
Try the pyramid technique. Listen to a podcast 3 times, each time with a different focus.
Okay.
First, grasp the main idea. Second, pick up the supporting details. third, dive into the nuances like idioms and cultural references.
That's a fantastic way to break down the learning process. It's like I'm becoming an archaeologist uncovering different layers of language.
I love that analogy. Now, here's a tip that might seem a bit old school, but it's incredibly effective.
Mm.
Use different colored pens while taking notes.
Different colored pens.
Yeah, assign a color to each element of language you're focusing on. Blue for vocabulary, green for grammar, red for cultural references.
Oh, I see. So my notes become this colorful map of language learning.
Exactly.
It's like a rainbow of knowledge. What about after I've finished listening? Are there any techniques I can use to solidify what I've learned?
Absolutely. Try the 2-4-7 rule. Within 24 hours of listening, summarize what you've learned in writing. Within 7 days, teach it to someone.
Oh, okay.
Even if it's just your pet, teaching reinforces your understanding and helps you identify any gaps in your knowledge.
So it's like turning myself into an English teacher, even if it's my cat who is my student.
Right. And to make things even more fun, you can use AI language models to create personalized quizzes based on your podcast notes.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like having a custom-made study guide.
It is.
What other cool tools can help me study with podcasts?
Here's one that might surprise you. Combining podcast listening with physical movement. Studies show that moving your body while learning can actually boost retention.
Seriously. So if I'm out for a walk listening to a podcast about business, I might be more likely to remember the key concepts.
Exactly. It's all about engaging your whole brain and body in the learning process.
So we've covered content selection, active listening, and study methods. What's next?
Next, we're going to dive into the exciting world of technology integration.
I can't wait.
It's where the real magic happens.
It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with podcasts in 2025.
You're absolutely right. We're about to unlock a treasure chest of technological wonders that will transform your English learning journey.
That sounds awesome. I'm ready.
Welcome back. Are you ready for this?
I am. We're going to explore how technology is revolutionizing the way we learn English with podcasts.
Exactly. Let's start with AI-powered podcast players.
Okay, AI-powered, so these are like,
Remember constantly pausing to look up words in a dictionary?
oh yeah, so disruptive.
Right. Well, these smart players can sense when you pause and automatically generate a vocabulary list.
Whoa, hold on. The podcast player knows which words I'm struggling with just from my pauses.
It's like having a mind-reading dictionary.
That's wild. It would make learning vocabulary so much easier.
It really does.
So what else could these AI podcast players do?
Well, they can do even more. Smart transcription technology highlights idioms, shows pronunciation patterns, and even rates the formality level, all in real time.
Wow, so I can see all this extra information about the language while I'm missing.
Having a language tutor whispering in your ear.
That's a great way to put it.
But we're just getting started. Adaptive playback intelligence. This one's amazing.
Adaptive playback intelligence. I'm intrigued.
It adjusts the speed of the podcast to match your comprehension.
Oh, wow.
It slows down for complex parts, speeds up when you're understanding clearly.
Seriously. It's like having a personal DJ for language learning.
I know, right?
This is incredible. What else can technology do?
How about immersive audio learning environments? They use spatial audio technology. It puts different speakers in a virtual 3D space.
So I would hear different voices coming from different directions as if I'm in a real conversation.
Exactly.
That's mind-blowing.
It's an amazing way to train your ears to distinguish multiple voices.
Yeah, super helpful.
Okay, ready for more? Pronunciation mirror technology.
Ooh, what's that?
You speak along with a podcast, and it shows your pronunciation overlaid with the native speakers in real time.
Wow, that's visual feedback on a whole new level.
And then there's cross-platform learning integration. Your podcast app can sync with your language learning apps, creating flashcards suggesting podcasts.
Like one central hub for all my language learning.
Exactly. And last but not least, social learning algorithms.
Social learning algorithms.
Okay. These systems match you with other learners listening to the same podcasts.
So I can connect with people all over the world who are listening to the same podcast as me.
Exactly. It's a fantastic way to make language learning more social.
This is all incredible. But I have to be honest, even with all this technology, sometimes I still struggle with things like fast speech and unfamiliar accents. It can be pretty intimidating.
You're absolutely right. That's why the next section is all about troubleshooting common challenges. We'll explore practical techniques for overcoming those obstacles.
We're ready.
Let's do it. Welcome back. We're about to unlock the secrets of advanced learning techniques.
I'm so excited. It feels like we've already covered so much. But I know there's always more to learn. What's first?
First up, Content creation mastery.
Content creation mastery.
Okay. It's about turning you into an active creator. Take what you've learned from podcasts and create something new.
So instead of just listening, I should be creating my own content.
Exactly. You could record a short video summary, write a blog post, even create your own mini podcast episode.
I love that. It's like taking ownership of the learning process.
And when you create content, you engage with the material on a deeper level, which helps you remember it better.
That makes sense. What other techniques can I try?
Let's try the reverse engineering method.
Reverse engineering.
Choose a short segment from a podcast and transcribe it backward, from the last sentence to the first.
Wait, I'm writing the sentences down in reverse order. That's kind of trippy.
I know, right? But it forces you to focus on each sentence in isolation. You're really paying attention to the grammar and vocabulary.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. Okay, what else?
We can try the shadow remix technique.
Shadow remix, what is that?
Record yourself shadowing a podcast segment, mimicking the speaker's pronunciation. Then, use an AI tool to compare your recording to the original.
So I'm like remixing my own voice. That's cool.
It is. It gives you super detailed feedback on your pronunciation.
That's so helpful.
Now let's talk about deep analysis journaling.
Deep analysis journaling. I like the sound of that.
After listening to an episode, write 3 summaries: factual, emotional, and analytical.
3 summaries. So I'm summarizing the podcast from different perspectives.
You got it. This forces you to engage with the material on multiple levels.
I like that. What about expanding my vocabulary? Any tips for that?
Definitely. Try cross-genre integration.
Okay, what's that?
Take a concept from one genre of podcastgate and explain it using vocabulary from a different genre.
Oh, that's interesting. So if I learn a business concept on a finance podcast, I could try to explain it using vocabulary from a sports podcast.
Exactly. It's a fun way to think flexibly about language.
I like it.
And for mastering different accents, try the Accent Adaptation Challenge.
Oh, sounds like a fun one.
Listen to the same episode in as many different accents as you can find.
I'm going to try that. It'll be interesting to see how many different accents I can understand.
It's a great challenge. And finally, we have the neural pattern training method.
Neural pattern training.
It's about synchronizing your speech patterns with those of native speakers. Analyze the rhythm, pauses, and intonation, and try to replicate those patterns.
So it's like I'm creating a musical score for spoken English.
Yes. Yes.
I love that analogy. This has been an incredible journey. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
What's the one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting out on their podcast learning journey?
Be patient, have fun, and don't be afraid to experiment. The world of podcasts is huge, so there's something for everyone.
That's great advice. And thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of learning English with podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more episodes. We'll see you next time.